The Wild Willow and the Magic Forest. Once upon a time, in a forest surrounded by tall mountains, a young fox named Willow lived all alone. Willow wasn't like other foxes. She didn't know how to hunt, make a cozy den, or talk to other animals. But what Willow didn't know was that this forest was no ordinary forest. It was a magic forest. One morning, Willow woke up hungry. As she wandered through the trees, she noticed something sparkling in the air. Tiny, glowing specks of light floated around her. Curious, she followed them. The lights led her to a bush where she heard a soft chirp, chirp. Inside the bush, a baby bird with a hurt wing looked up at her. But this was no ordinary bird. Its feathers shimmered like silver, and its eyes sparkled like stars. "Don't eat me," the bird cried. "I won't eat you," Willow said. "I just want to help." The bird blinked. "If you help me, the magic of this forest will help you in return." Willow didn't quite understand, but she gently picked up the bird and carried it to a sunny spot. She found some soft leaves to make a bed for the bird and promised, "I'll find food for you." As Willow ran through the forest, the glowing specks of light followed her, guiding her to a berry bush. The berries were not red, but golden, shining like tiny suns. "Are these safe to eat?" Willow asked aloud. A glowing light whispered, "These are magic berries. They will heal the bird's wing." Willow carefully carried the golden berries back to the bird. When the bird ate them, its wing began to sparkle and heal before Willow's eyes. "Thank you, Willow," the bird chirped happily. "Because of your kindness, I will share the magic of the forest with you." Suddenly, Willow felt a warm glow around her. The forest seemed to come alive. The trees swayed as if bowing to her, and the glowing lights danced around her. From that day on, the animals of the forest began to notice Willow. A squirrel shyly approached and said, "Willow, the stream is dry. Can you help?" Willow followed the squirrel to the stream, and as she touched the dry earth, water bubbled up, sparkling with magic. A deer came to her another day and said, "Willow, the flowers have stopped blooming. Can you help?" Willow touched the flowers, and they burst into colors more vibrant than a rainbow. The forest animals soon realized that Willow was no ordinary fox. She had become the heart of the magic forest, helping wherever she was needed. One sunny morning, the silver bird flew high into the sky. "Thank you, Willow," it called. "You are the guardian of this forest now." Willow looked around at her beautiful, glowing home filled with friends and felt a warmth in her heart. She was no longer alone. She was part of something magical. And so, Willow the wild fox became the protector of the enchanted forest, spreading kindness and magic wherever she went.
The Brave Little Hedgehog. In a small meadow at the edge of a forest, there lived a little hedgehog named Pip. Pip was small and shy. He loved to roll into a ball whenever he felt scared. The other animals often teased him. "Why do you always hide, Pip?" the squirrels asked. "You'll never be brave like us." This made Pip sad, but he didn't know how to be brave. One sunny morning, Pip was out looking for berries when he heard a strange noise. It sounded like someone crying. He followed the sound and found a tiny rabbit stuck in a thorn bush. "Help me!" cried the rabbit. "I can't get out." Pip felt nervous. The thorn bush looked sharp, and he didn't want to get hurt. But he also didn't want to leave the rabbit there. "I'll try to help," Pip said softly. He took a deep breath, rolled into a ball, and gently pushed through the thorns. His quills cleared a path, and the rabbit wiggled free. "Thank you, Pip," the rabbit said, hopping with joy. "You're so brave." Pip felt a warm glow inside. Maybe he wasn't so shy after all. Later that day, Pip heard more animals talking. "There's a big shadow in the meadow," said a bird. "It's scaring everyone." Pip peeked out and saw the shadow. It was huge. The other animals hid, but Pip noticed something strange. The shadow moved like a balloon. "It's just floating," Pip whispered. Gathering his courage, he walked toward the shadow. As he got closer, he saw that it wasn't a monster. It was a big, colorful kite stuck in a tree. The wind made it wave like a scary creature. Pip smiled. "It's not scary at all," he said, pulling the kite down carefully. He carried it back to the animals. "It's just a kite," Pip told them. The animals cheered. "You were the only one brave enough to check," said the squirrel. "We're sorry we teased you, Pip. You're the bravest of us all." From that day on, Pip wasn't shy anymore. He knew that being brave didn't mean being big or loud. It meant helping others, even when you were scared. And so, Pip the little hedgehog became the hero of the meadow, always ready to help a friend in need.
Once upon a time, in a big, green forest, lived Ruby, a clever fox, and Jack, a wise crow. Ruby was smart and quick, always finding her way out of trouble. Jack was known for his knowledge and sharp eyes. They weren't exactly friends, but one day they had to work together. Early one morning, a little squirrel named Pip ran through the forest, looking very worried. "The magic stone is gone," he squeaked. The magic stone kept the forest safe and peaceful. Without it, strange things could start happening. "Gone? Where did it go?" Ruby asked, her tail swishing. "It was on the rock near the big oak tree last night," Pip said, "but now it's missing." Jack flew down from his favorite tree. "This is serious. We need to find it quickly." Ruby nodded. "I'll search the ground for clues and you can look from the sky. Let's start near the big oak tree." At the oak tree, Ruby sniffed the ground. Tracks. These aren't from Pip or any other squirrel. Jack looked around from a high branch. "There's a trail leading to the dark part of the forest, the shadow woods. We'll have to be careful." The shadow woods were quiet and spooky. The trees were so close together that it was hard to see the sun. As they walked, they found a raccoon sitting by a tree. His name was Stripe, and he looked sneaky. "Well, hello there," Stripe said with a grin. "What brings you here?" "We're looking for the magic stone," Ruby said. "Do you know where it is?" Stripe chuckled. "Maybe I do, but if you want my help, you'll have to solve a riddle first." Ruby and Jack glanced at each other. "What's the riddle?" Jack asked. Stripe said, "I'm not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, and yet I die without water. What am I?" Ruby thought hard, but Jack answered quickly. "Fire." Stripe's smile faded. "You're right. Fine, I'll tell you. The magic stone was taken by a magpie. She's hiding in the big hollow tree over there." Ruby and Jack found the magpie sitting inside a tree, holding the shiny magic stone. "This belongs to the forest," Jack said. "But it's so pretty," the magpie chirped. "I want to keep it." Ruby's eyes sparkled with an idea. She reached into her bag and pulled out a shiny silver spoon. "Would you like this instead?" Ruby asked. The magpie's eyes grew wide. "Ooh, so shiny!" She dropped the magic stone and grabbed the spoon. Ruby and Jack took the magic stone back to its special place. The forest felt calm and safe again. "Good teamwork," Ruby said with a smile. "Very good," Jack agreed, flapping his wings. From that day on, Ruby the Fox and Jack the Crow became a great team, ready for any adventure that came their way. Story of the Puppy and the Kitten. One sunny afternoon, a playful little puppy named Max was running through the park. Max had soft golden fur and a curious nose that was always sniffing the ground. He loved the park because it was full of exciting things to explore: flowers, birds, and his favorite, butterflies. As Max chased a bright yellow butterfly, he suddenly heard a soft meow. It was so faint that Max almost thought he imagined it. He stopped and perked up his floppy ears. Meow. The sound came again, this time a little louder. Max followed the sound until he reached a bush. Peeking under it, he saw a tiny gray kitten with big green eyes. The kitten looked frightened and was curled up tightly. "Hi there," Max said gently, wagging his tail to show he was friendly. "I'm Max. What's your name?" The kitten hesitated, then whispered, "I'm Luna. I'm lost, and I don't know how to get home." Max's heart ached for the little kitten. He wanted to help. "Don't worry, Luna," he said confidently. "We'll find your home together. I promise." Luna slowly stepped out from under the bush. "Really?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Of course," Max barked. "But first, let's get you something to eat. You look hungry." They walked to a small picnic area in the park. Max's sharp nose found a piece of bread left behind by someone. "Here, try this," he said, nudging it toward Luna. Luna took a small bite. "Thank you," she said, smiling a little. After eating, Max and Luna started their search. They walked along the park paths, with Max sniffing the ground and looking for clues. He showed Luna the pond where ducks swam and the big oak tree where squirrels were busy gathering acorns. "Do you recognize any of this?" Max asked. Luna shook her head. "No, I don't think I've been here before." Max thought for a moment. "Then let's ask someone who lives in the park. They might have seen your home." Just then, a squirrel ran down from a tree. She was carrying a nut in her tiny paws. "Excuse me," Max called out politely. "We're looking for Luna's home. Have you seen a gray kitten's house around here?" The squirrel tilted her head. I did see a red house on the other side of the park. Maybe that's where she lives." "Thank you so much," Max said, wagging his tail excitedly. "Come on, Luna, let's check it out." The journey to the red house wasn't easy. They had to cross a small stream, and Luna didn't like getting her paws wet. Max barked encouragingly. "It's okay. I'll go first, and you can follow me." With Max leading the way, Luna carefully hopped across the stones. When they reached the other side, Luna smiled. "You're a good friend, Max." Finally, they reached the red house. Max barked loudly at the door, and soon it opened. A young girl stood there, and her eyes lit up when she saw Luna. "Luna!" the girl exclaimed, kneeling down to scoop the kitten into her arms. "I've been looking everywhere for you." Luna purred and nuzzled the girl's cheek. Then she turned to Max and said, "Thank you, Max. I couldn't have done it without you." Max wagged his tail proudly. "I'm glad I could help, Luna. That's what friends are for." The girl looked at Max and smiled. "You're such a kind puppy. Thank you for bringing Luna home." From that day on, Max and Luna became the best of friends. Every afternoon, Luna's girl would bring her to the park, and the two of them would play together. They chased butterflies, explored new places, and always helped each other when things got tough. And so, Max and Luna's adventures continued, proving that even the smallest acts of kindness can lead to the strongest friendships. Once upon a time, in the cozy burrow of Clover Hollow, a family of bunnies prepared for their annual carrot quest, a tradition where they'd venture into the wild to find the legendary golden carrot. Mama Bun, practical and sharp, packed snacks, just in case we get hungry. Papa Bun, adventurous and clumsy, brought a map he couldn't read. Their twins, Thistle and Thump, were the brains and brawn of the operation, with Thistle devising clever plans and Thump smashing through obstacles, sometimes unnecessarily. As they hopped through the forest, Papa insisted they follow his map, which led straight into a puddle. "A shortcut," he declared, dripping wet. Thistle rolled her eyes and took charge, guiding them toward the rumored location of the golden carrot. They reached a towering tree with a hollow at the top. "It's up there," Thistle whispered. Thump flexed his muscles, leapt up, and promptly fell into a bush. Mama Bun sighed, tied a rope around Thistle, and the two worked together to climb up. At the top, they found the golden carrot, gleaming, enormous, and fake. A squirrel popped out, laughing. "Keeps the treasure hunters on their toes," he squeaked. The bunnies returned home muddy, hungry, and laughing all the way, agreeing the best part of the quest wasn't the carrot. It was the chaos of doing it together. It was a sunny morning in Fluffington Academy, the finest school for young bunnies in the Meadowlands. Two best friends, Benny and Luna, hopped eagerly through the gates, their noses twitching with excitement. Benny was a floppy-eared ball of energy who always had a mischievous plan brewing. Luna, on the other hand, was the clever one, always thinking 3 hops ahead. Today, their teacher, Mrs. Thistle Whiskers, announced the annual Golden Carrot Hunt, a legendary treasure hunt held every year. The golden carrot wasn't just any carrot. It was rumored to grant a wish to the team that found it first. "Luna," Benny whispered during roll call, "if we win, I'm wishing for a lifetime supply of carrot cupcakes." Luna rolled her eyes but couldn't help smiling. "Let's focus on finding it first, Benny." The clues were scattered across the school grounds, and teams had until the end of the day to locate the carrot. Benny and Luna got their first clue. In the place where books abound, the next clue is waiting to be found. "Library!" they shouted in unison and dashed off. Inside the library, they found the school librarian, Mr. Quillfoot, standing guard with a riddle. To get the next clue, solve this. What has ears but cannot hear? "Easy," said Benny confidently. "It's my Uncle Roger. He never listens to anyone." Mr. Quillfoot suppressed a chuckle. "Close, but not quite." Luna nudged Benny aside. "It's a cornfield," she said. "Correct!" Mr. Quillfoot handed over the next clue. "Find the place where laughter rings, where bunnies bounce and stretch their springs." "The gym!" Benny yelled, already hopping off. When they arrived, Coach Hopham greeted them with a mischievous grin. "To earn your clue, you must beat my obstacle course." The course was a chaotic mix of tunnels, tire jumps, and a balancing beam made of wobbly logs. Benny barreled through like a whirlwind, knocking over half the course in his enthusiasm. Luna, with her nimble hops, completed it gracefully. Coach Hopham handed over the next clue. "Where meals are served and chatter's loud, the carrot hides within a crowd." "The cafeteria," Benny and Luna chorused, racing off again. The cafeteria was bustling, but something was off. There was a trail of shredded lettuce leading to the kitchen. Inside, they found their biggest rival, Hazel Hopper, already holding the golden carrot. "Hazel, that's ours!" Benny exclaimed. Hazel smirked. "Not unless you can answer my riddle. What has a head, a tail, but no body?" Benny was stumped, but Luna grinned. "A coin," she said triumphantly. Hazel groaned and handed over the carrot. "Fine, but I still think I'm smarter than both of you." As the bell rang, Benny and Luna presented the golden carrot to Mrs. Thistlewhiskers. "Congratulations," she said. "What's your wish?" Luna started to suggest something wise, but Benny blurted out, "Carrot cupcakes for life." Suddenly, trays of cupcakes appeared, and the entire school cheered. Luna sighed but couldn't resist a laugh. And from that day forward, Fluffington Academy was known as the only school in the Meadowlands where carrot cupcakes were served every single day. In the heart of the bustling Barnwood farm, nestled under a creaky old floorboard, lived the Cheese Crumbs family. The family of 5 consisted of Papa Cheddar, Mama Brie, and their 3 children: Max, the eldest and a cautious planner; Mimi, the middle child with a mischievous streak; and baby Gus, who was always chasing after adventure, even when it got him into trouble. Life was good for the Cheese Crumbs. They had a pantry full of crumbs, a cozy nest, and each other. But one day, their peaceful life was interrupted when Farmer McGrumble introduced a new member to the barn: a sleek, black cat named Midnight. Midnight was fast, cunning, and had a particular fondness for mice. The Cheese Crumbs family suddenly found themselves tiptoeing around the barn, too scared to venture far for food. One chilly morning, Papa Cheddar gathered the family. "The pantry is nearly empty," he said, his whiskers drooping. "We have to find food, but Midnight makes it too dangerous." Mimi's eyes sparkled. "What if we sneak into the kitchen? There's always cheese in there." Max shook his head. "That's a terrible idea. Midnight practically lives in the kitchen." Baby Gus squeaked, "I can do it. I'm small and quick." Mama Brie frowned. "Absolutely not, Gus. It's too risky. We'll think of something safer." But Gus had already made up his mind. Late that night, while the family was asleep, he wriggled out of the nest and scampered toward the kitchen. The kitchen was enormous and filled with towering shelves. Gus's nose twitched as he followed the scent of cheese. He found a golden wedge of cheddar on the counter and squeaked with delight. But just as he tugged on the cheese, he heard a low growl. Midnight's glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. "Going somewhere, little snack?" Midnight purred, her tail flicking menacingly. Gus darted under the counter, dragging the cheese behind him. Midnight lunged, her claws swiping the air. Gus squeaked in terror but kept running. He needed a plan, and fast. Back in the nest, Mimi woke up to find Gus missing. She nudged Max. "Wake up! Gus is gone, and I bet he's in the kitchen." Papa Cheddar and Mama Brie were already awake. "We have to save him," Mama Brie said. The family hurried to the kitchen, armed with scraps of string, a thimble, and a tiny rolling pin. They found Gus cornered behind the stove, clutching his cheese. Midnight loomed over him, her claws ready to strike. "Hey, Midnight!" Mimi shouted, waving the rolling pin. "Bet you can't catch me!" Midnight turned, distracted by the feisty mouse. Max and Papa Cheddar quickly pulled Gus to safety using the string, while Mama Brie rolled a thimble filled with flour toward Midnight's face. With a loud sneeze, the cat was momentarily blinded. "Run!" shouted Papa Cheddar. The family dashed back to their nest, dragging the cheese behind them. Midnight gave chase but slipped on the flour and tumbled into a sack of potatoes. Back in the safety of their nest, Gus hugged his family. "I'm sorry I ran off," he said, his ears drooping. Mama Brie hugged him tightly. "You're brave, Gus, but we're stronger when we work together. And sneakier," Mimi added with a wink. The Cheese Crumbs family shared a feast of cheese that night, laughing and planning their next adventure. Midnight might have been a formidable foe, but nothing was more powerful than the love and teamwork of the Cheese Crumbs family. In a land where stars whispered secrets to the moon, there lived a fairy princess named Elara, who, despite her shimmering wings, had never flown a day in her life. Elara's wings sparkled like morning dew kissed by the sun, but a mysterious spell had robbed her of the memory of how to use them. Determined to rule her kingdom with grace, she surrounded herself with friends who filled her days with laughter and love. there was Pippa, the mischievous pixie who could charm bees into making lavender honey, and Finn, the noble brownie who crafted enchanted armor for the woodland creatures. Together, they brought joy to the kingdom of Luminera. One day, a desperate call came from the neighboring human kingdom of Eldoria. A curse had turned their prince into stone, and only a magical feather from a fairy princess could save him. Knowing the cost, Alara hesitated. Her wings, though beautiful, had never been used. How could she fly to the distant land and retrieve the feather? "You've always had the power, Alara," Pippa said, her tiny voice trembling with belief. "You just need to trust your heart." Alara's heart raced as she stood on the edge of the highest crystal tower. Closing her eyes, she leapt, the wind catching her wings. For the first time, she soared, her friends cheering from below. The thrill of flight filled her soul as forgotten memories returned, and she felt free. She flew for days, braving storms and shadows, until she reached the enchanted forest where the feather of hope grew. Guarded by a fierce dragon, Alara spoke not with weapons but with kindness, sharing the dragon's pain of loneliness. The dragon, moved by her empathy, gifted her the feather and offered safe passage. Returning to Eldoria, Alara placed the feather on the statue of Prince Callum. The stone cracked, and the prince emerged, golden-haired with eyes as bright as the morning sky. "You saved me," he whispered, gazing at her in awe. As days turned into weeks, Prince Callum joined Alara's circle of friends, helping to unite the two kingdoms. Together, they taught both fairies and humans the power of courage, kindness, and friendship. Alara, now confident in her wings and her heart, discovered that the true magic lay in the bonds she shared with those around her. And so, the fairy princess, who once forgot how to fly, became the queen who taught the world to soar. Once upon a time, in a hidden glen deep within the enchanted forest, there lived a tiny fairy princess named Lilia. Her wings shimmered like dew-kissed flowers at dawn, and her heart was as kind as the spring breeze. One day, the glen's magic began to fade, turning the vibrant blooms to gray. The fairies were worried, for the forest's life depended on the magic. Lilia, though small, was brave. She ventured to the heart of the forest, where the ancient tree of wonders stood, its roots entwined with the earth's magic. Lilia sang a song of love and hope, her voice a gentle melody that awakened the slumbering tree. It opened its ancient eyes and, moved by her pure heart, restored the magic to the glen. The flowers burst into color once more, and the forest thrived. The fairies rejoiced, and from that day they called Lilia the heart of the forest. And so, peace and magic returned, thanks to the courage of one little fairy princess, and they all lived happily ever after.